Today, most of us would not be the people who we are. This sounds very confusing, but what I'm trying to say is that if history had never went the way it had, some of us would not be here today. And please keep in mind this idea throughout the presentation. The beginning. Many American Presbyterian and Methodist missionaries went to Korea, and many times were rejected by Korean society for their ideas of Christianity. However, the missionaries taught students in America, and some were able to move to the U.S., however, were considered Chinese or Japanese by immigration. In 1910, the first official registered Korean immigrant is Peter Ryu, by riding the Kangkang Maru, a Japanese ship. The first major group of Korean immigrants who came to America to Honolulu Harbor on the SS Goliath were contracted as sugar farm laborers instead of Japanese workers, since the tension between Imperial Japan and America were high, and it was much cheaper to have Koreans instead of Japanese. Immigration laws, the immigration law period. 1960 to 1967, immigration laws for Asians started to be created, and over the 7 years, the laws were constantly vetoed, redone, and new ones were created. One main reason was due to the uncomfortable relationship with many Asian countries due to their choice of government. In 1953, the Korean War had ended and Korea had become the poorest country in Asia. Illegal immigration had increased more than ever, and the only legal immigration was Koreans around that period were army members transferring to the US. Most refugees had moved to Seoul but later discovered that they could smuggle into America. Many poor Koreans had gone to the US illegally by as mail order wives, labor workers, or smuggled in by sea trade. However, many rich Koreans tried to get into the US for a better life, but sometimes had to pay off immigration workers since there's still a problem with Korean passport laws and immigration. In 1970s, over 30,000 Koreans are in America, and the term K-Town was coined. Floods of and another flood of Koreans came to America after a new government took over in Korea, and the constant changes of government in Korea. Today, or at least the past 40 or 30 years, there have been multiple reasons why Koreans have moved to the US. One reason is Koreans have moved for their family for job transfers. Or many families had moved to the US for their children's education for them to learn English or for them to learn English. There are many One very popular reason is goose fathers. When the mother and children go to another country due to very commonly America for the children's education. However, the father stays in the native country, which is Korea, for his job or work. And one very common reason is university. However, Korea is still one of the top 8 illegal immigrating countries in the world in the U.S. Now, I ask you this again. Today, most of us would not be here and would not be the people who we are. And if you look back at history and wonder and ask yourself, if none of these things happened, would I still be here? And maybe no, because if there wasn't a huge migration of Koreans to America or any other country of that fact, our families might have not moved, or some of us might have not existed. The Korean migration to America had started very early on but did not gain notice until the 70s. Thank you.